You knew what you were going on. Her voice cut through the darkness like a razor. I couldn't breathe. My ears rang, my hands trembled. Everything, my pulse, my heart, my entire being, lurched forward, then stopped. Short bursts of light flickered in my vision. A single lamp overhead, swaying softly, turned the kitchen into a stage. She stood there against the counter, one hand bracing a mug of cold coffee, the other hovering near her lips. I love you. That phrase hammered at the back of my skull. I hate you for saying it. I hate me for believing it. Jay, she said softly, please look at me. I couldn't. My gaze was trapped on the floor, on the edge of her shadow. That small shape, trembling under the lamplight, was all that held my focus. Because if I looked up, if I saw her face, that face I once believed in, I'd shatter. And I couldn't afford that. Not anymore. There was a flicker from the corner of my eye. Another shadow in the hallway. Or maybe it was my own imagination. Time had turned thick and slow. So slow that the ticking of the clock behind me felt like thunder. 1,000 thoughts roared. But every one of them ended the same way. Betrayal. She said again, you knew. That was the moment I lifted my head. Did I? My voice sounded foreign, like it belonged to someone else. I wanted to keep it steady, calm. Instead, it cracked, betraying every jagged edge inside me. Kate's eyes darted sideways, nervous, unsure, but still defiant. We'd been married for over a decade. I used to love the way her brown eyes danced with warmth. Now they were just dark pits, reflecting guilt I couldn't stomach. She let go of the mug. It scraped against the counter with a dull screech. Jay, you always knew I needed something else. Her words came out almost mechanical, her usual gentle southern accent fading. You can't act surprised. I swallowed. Hard. I'm not surprised. I managed. I'm sick. Silence. She shifted her weight, crossing her arms over her chest. The overhead lamp buzzed. Then, in my head, the memory flashed. 2 hours earlier. I'd left the office early. A Monday, a rare slow day. The boss told me to take a break. Instead of a bar or a coffee shop, I decided to come straight home. I thought maybe we could cook together. Maybe talk about our next vacation. Maybe do something normal for once. Instead, I heard noises, quiet at first, then building, coming from the living room. A moan, stifled but urgent. The kind that told me everything without words. I'd never heard her make that sound for me. Or maybe I had, but a different version. Sweeter, softer, not desperate. I dropped my keys on the table, but neither of them heard. They were lost in each other. I inched through the hallway, sweat trickling down my back. I felt like I was walking into a nightmare, or a trap. The blinds were half closed. The late afternoon sun painted long stripes across the couch. She was in his arms, hips pressed to his. Her hands dug into his shoulders, his tall, muscular form overshadowing her entirely. A fleeting moment, her hair tumbling around her face, the arch of her neck, the exact way her lips parted. I saw her eyes flutter open. We locked gazes for half a second. She gasped something like my name. Then it all exploded. She jerked away, tried to fix her clothes. He stood up, arms still out, half naked, chest heaving, sweat rolling down dark skin. Our living room lamp was off, so the slant of sunlight cut across them, leaving the rest in shadow. For one insane heartbeat, I thought maybe I was hallucinating. Maybe I had dozed off at work. Maybe I'd wake up soon. But it was real. The smell of them. The sound of them breathing. I couldn't speak. I don't remember my feet moving. But the next thing I knew, he was saying something, his voice low. Man, let's just... I slapped him. Or tried to. My palm connected with his jaw, but not fully. He stumbled back, looking half shocked, half guilty. Then I noticed that Kate was huddled behind him, her blouse unbuttoned, her eyes wide and rimmed with tears. I didn't want to see the rest, so I turned away. My entire body shook, but no tears came. My eyes felt bone dry. Then she whispered it. I love you. The same phrase she used to whisper to me. But this time it wasn't for me. That's when everything went black, at least in my mind. They moved, tried to speak, but I heard nothing. I marched out the door, ended up pacing in the driveway. My chest felt hollow. The air was cold for a mid-October day. Eventually, after I don't know how many minutes, I went back in. By then, he was gone. She was alone. Now she was telling me I knew all along. As if that made any difference, I inhaled. So that's it. That's what you wanted to tell me. Kate's voice trembled. I'm sorry, Jay. I never wanted it to be like this. Her arms stayed crossed. She was wearing a buttoned sweater now, hair pulled back neatly, as if a tidy appearance could erase the last few hours. Then how did you want it? My tone stayed controlled, but inside me, storms raged. You wanted a gentle talk over dinner. Let me guess. Honey, I've been sleeping with Dan, but I still love you, so can we make it work? Or am I off? She winced. Don't talk to me like. Then what? I closed the distance between us. You tell me how to talk to the woman who's been lying in my face. Softly, calmly. Use that sweet teacher's voice of yours. Her eyes flickered with anger, but she stayed quiet. A moment later, she stepped back, the lamp overhead making her hair glow. Dan was never supposed to mean anything, she said, so quietly I had to strain to hear. It just happened. I nearly laughed. Yes, of course. Adultery just happens. Silly me. She started to cry, but no tears fell yet. It was in the trembling of her lip, the way her breath caught. For a second, I almost felt sorry for her. Then I remembered the image of her pinned against him, her nails scraping his back. That memory might haunt me for life. I rubbed my temples. I need to get some air. Jay, please. She reached for me, but I stepped away. My back was stiff, my movements robotic. I was done with words. For the moment, I grabbed my jacket from the closet. My mind was a nest of serpents, anger, confusion, heartbreak, all twisting together. I wanted to punch walls. I wanted to scream. Instead, I opened the door and left. Out on the porch, a single street lamp cast a weak circle of light. Somewhere down the street, a dog barked. The sky was dark, no stars visible, just the faint glow of the city in the distance. I had no direction, so I walked. Houses blurred by. I found myself in a little park near the subdivision. A broken lamp flickered near a bench. Great place for a meltdown. I sank down, trying not to think of them. Tried not to see the image of her bare shoulder. Tried not to wonder why I was never enough. When the cold air finally soaked through my clothes, I realized I couldn't stay there. I stumbled back toward the house. The lights were still on inside. I stood outside the window, looking in like a stranger. She was there, pacing in the living room. Her phone was in her hand. She typed something, paused, typed again, probably texting him. My stomach turned. I bit my lip until I tasted blood. I walked inside without knocking. She stood there, startled. The clock chimed. 10 p.m. I'm staying here tonight. I said, stiff. We'll talk tomorrow. She nodded, relief flickering in her eyes. Thank you. For what? I didn't ask. Instead, I stomped upstairs and locked myself in the guest room. That used to be our study. Her yoga mat was in the corner, a half-folded blanket on an armchair. The bed squeaked when I dropped onto it. The faint hum of the overhead light made my teeth grind. I switched it off. Darkness. But inside my head, everything still glowed, burned, twisted. I didn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling, thinking of the past 10 years. Moments like snapshots. Our wedding day, her in a simple white gown. Our drive to Chicago, playing silly songs on the radio, her feet on the dashboard. Laughter. Love. Or so I believed. Then the images fractured, replaced by the scene on that couch, by her gasping a name that wasn't mine. By dawn, my body felt like raw meat. My eyes itched, my throat was dry. I got up, went to the bathroom, splashed water on my face, stared in the mirror. I saw a man I barely recognized. Thinning hair at the temples, lines around the eyes. Tired, hollow, old. I remembered being 25, cocky, full of hope. Now I was 39, furious, betrayed, and pinned in place like a bug under glass. Didn't think I'd end up here. I walked downstairs. She was in the kitchen, staring out the window. She wore the same sweater from last night, hair slightly disheveled. The moment she noticed me, her lips parted as if to speak. But I beat her to it. "Coffee?" I asked, my voice rough. She nodded silently. I poured 2 cups, set one in front of her. The air between us was suffocating. The sunlight hit the sink, making the stainless steel glare. An ordinary morning, overshadowed by extraordinary failure. Finally, she spoke. "I'm so sorry." She almost whispered it, but it echoed in my head. I stared at my coffee. Steam curled upward. "Tell me about Dan." She swallowed. "He's a consultant. I met him at a school fundraising event. He was hired to help with promotional materials for the district. He and I started talking. It was just harmless at first, chatting over coffee, emails about strategy. Then it got personal. I don't even remember when it crossed the line. My gut twisted. "Is he married?" "No," she said, looking at her mug. "Lives alone." My breath hissed out. "Of course." "How long?" She flinched. "A few months." I closed my eyes, feeling acid in my throat. "Why didn't you leave me?" The question came out before I could stop it. She looked up, startled. "What? If you wanted him so bad, if I wasn't enough, then why the hell stay married?" My voice cracked, but I forced it steady. "I'm not a child. I could handle a divorce." That would have hurt, but it would have been honest. She shook her head. "Jay, I never wanted to lose you. I swear I still." "Don't say it." I put my cup down with a forceful clink. "Don't you dare say I love you again. I don't want to hear it from that mouth." Her lower lip quivered, tears pooling in her eyes. But I didn't care. Something had broken inside me. No tears, no pleas, no sorry would fix that crack. We kept living under the same roof. For days we moved like ghosts. She went to work at the elementary school. I attended meetings with medical clients. We came home, avoided each other. I slept in the guest room. She gave me space. I gave her silence. The house felt too big, the rooms too empty, the nights too long. One evening, I caught her phone buzzing on the table. A text from him. "I miss you. Are you okay?" My stomach clenched. I told myself not to read more, not to sink to that level. But the primal part of me wanted to see every secret. I fought that urge. Instead, I left it there and walked out. Panic. Short flashes. That had become my life. Rage, then emptiness, then a hollow acceptance. Each day, I tried to hold myself together at work. Each night, I reeled from a million thoughts in bed. Meanwhile, she hovered around me with sad eyes, always on the verge of apology. I started collecting evidence. Maybe it was twisted, but I needed proof. Not just for a lawyer, but for myself. Photographs, screenshots, even phone recordings. I'd never stooped to that normally, but she'd turned me into a paranoid man. In the evenings, I'd play them back with the volume turned low, hearing her voice say those same sweet nothings to him. "I love you. You're so amazing. I can't wait to see you again." Over and over, it slashed my mind like a whip. Maybe I wanted to punish myself, or maybe I wanted to remove any remaining doubt. I was numb, but I needed the final kill shot, something that made me sure I wasn't insane. Her friend, let's call her Jennifer, came by one afternoon when Kate wasn't home. She walked in unannounced, big smile on her face. "Jay, hey, Kate told me you're working from home these days. "How you holding up?" I looked at her. Her grin was forced. She fiddled with her purse strap. Then she said, quietly, "I know about Dan." My jaw tightened. "Do you?" She nodded, stepping closer, dropping her voice. "Kate confided in me. She's worried about you." A spark of anger ignited. Funny. Not sure how she expects me to be right now. Jennifer touched my arm, like a condolence. "I've tried telling her she needs to come clean." I barked a laugh. "Come clean." She was on my couch with him. Jennifer's eyes widened. She fumbled for words, started stammering. "Listen, she's my friend. But I told her you deserve better." I stared at her, and she laughed. "Right." Jennifer shifted uncomfortably. "Not exactly." She cried. "She said you're a good man, that she's made a horrible mistake." Then Jennifer lowered her voice further. "Between us, she's lost control of this whole situation. She's terrified you'll leave. She's terrified you'll hurt her." I felt an unexpected swell of disgust. "I'm not a monster." She exhaled, relieved. "I know. I told her that. But you have every right to be furious." I said nothing. She tried to lighten the mood, making some awkward joke about how men are always clueless. I forced a tight smile. Meanwhile, inside, I was fuming. She wanted me to break. Good. I was about to give them all a show. Then everything reached a boiling point. She tried to talk to me again after dinner one night. The house was dark except for a single lamp in the living room, casting reflections on the glass table. I was standing by the window, looking out at the streetlights. Kate approached. Voice low, "Jay, Dan wants to meet you. He feels awful." I whipped around. "He wants what?" She swallowed. "He suggested we all talk." "That maybe, if you two cleared the air." My fist clenched. "There's no air to clear." She looked desperate. "I hate how this is tearing us apart. We can't keep living in the same house, ignoring each other." I barked a hollow laugh. "Oh, I'm sorry my ignoring you is inconvenient. Maybe Dan can comfort you some more." Her eyes flickered with guilt. "He's not the devil you think he is." I felt a wave of icy calm. "You're defending him to me. After all this." Her lip trembled, tears threatening again. "Jay, I'm sorry. I cut her off. I'm done." I turned and marched upstairs, my footsteps echoing. She called my name, but I shut the door. My heart hammered. My mind raced. I couldn't do this indefinitely. Something had to break. I needed a plan. I remembered every scrap of information I'd gathered. Phone records, the recordings, the texts, the look in her eyes when she said, "I love you" to him. The way she tried to rationalize it. The rage inside me was a quiet storm now. I felt no need to lash out physically. Instead, a strange clarity took over, like stepping into a role I never asked for. But now, I embraced fully. I began with small steps. I consulted a lawyer, a friend from college, discreetly. I asked about property division, about possible grounds for separation. He told me we had a strong case for a no-fault. I nodded. Then I asked about possibilities for something else, something that might make a point. He looked at me weirdly, asked if I was feeling okay. I left with half answers. But I wasn't sure if the legal route was the only path. My emotions demanded something sharper, something that cut through the polite charade. I recalled how Kate once told me that she dreaded being alone, that she feared a house that was empty. She hated mirrors, ironically. She said they made her feel watched, exposed. I filed that away. The confrontation. It was late evening when I texted Dan from Kate's phone. She'd left it charging in the kitchen. I typed, "We need to talk. Alone. Come over tonight." I pressed send and put the phone down. My pulse steady for the first time in weeks. Then I waited. Sure enough, about an hour later, headlights flashed through the window. I heard the car door. I didn't tell Kate. She was upstairs in the bedroom, presumably reading or pretending to sleep. I opened the front door before Dan could knock. He stood there in a fitted jacket, a cautious look in his eyes. The porch light cast a sharp glow on his face. He was handsome, I guess, in a bold sort of way. Tall, well-groomed, charismatic. The man who took my wife's attention. He cleared his throat. "Where's Kate?" "Upstairs," I said. "Come in." He hesitated, then stepped inside. His cologne reeked of confidence, and maybe fear. I closed the door, locking it with a slow click. We stood in the foyer, the overhead lamp shining too brightly. I motioned for him to follow me into the living room, where the lights were dimmer. He did, uncertain. He kept glancing around. The entire house felt like a stage. I turned to him. "You wanted to meet me. Talk, clear the air." He swallowed. "Look, Jay, I never intended to ruin your marriage. Kate told me things about how lonely she felt. I just wanted to be there for her." I stared at him. "Be there for her," I repeated, deadpan. "Right." He shuffled his feet. "I know you're furious. I get that. I'm not proud of what happened. But it wasn't just casual, man. I care about her too." I exhaled, controlling the tremor in my hands. "Right. You care. That helps." He looked down. "I know you hate me. But maybe we can figure out a path forward. Something that doesn't blow up everyone's lives." "Do you love her?" I asked. My tone was as flat as I could manage. He blinked, caught off guard. Yes, I do." My teeth clenched. "And does she love you?" He nodded slowly. "She does." His eyes flickered with guilt. "But I know this is messy." Messy. That was an understatement. I took one step closer, forcing him to meet my gaze. "What's your plan, Dan? Move in here and have dinner with me every night. Or take her away. Start fresh somewhere else. Or maybe you want me to just stand aside while you two carry on. I'm so curious." He hesitated. "We haven't decided yet." "She's confused. She says she can't just walk away from you. You're part of her life." "She?" I cut him off with a bitter laugh. "Part of her life. Yeah, that's me. A little piece of furniture in the corner. Reliable Jay. She can't walk away. But she can cheat on me in my own home. That's no problem." He rubbed his temple, frustration mounting. "Look, I can't fix your marriage. I just want what's best for Kate, and if that means stepping aside, I'll do it. But she says she still has feelings for me." He paused, then murmured, "Honestly, man, I don't want to be the cause of your misery." Too late, I thought. But I just pressed my lips together, inhaling slowly. "You want to help me fix it? Then get out. Get out of my house, get out of her life, and never look back." He studied me, tension in his shoulders. "I can't make that promise if she's not sure what she wants." I gave him a flat stare. "Then we have nothing else to discuss." He opened his mouth to argue, but footsteps creaked on the stairs. Kate appeared, eyes widening when she saw us. "Jay?" she said softly, her voice trembling. "Dan, what's going on?" I turned. "Ask him." Then I walked upstairs without another word, leaving them behind alone. I heard hushed voices below, heated whispers. I closed the guest room door, locked it, and slid down to the floor. My heart pounded. Sweat beaded on my neck. I could hear them, but not the words. Part of me wanted to fling the door open and throw him out physically. But a stronger part of me wanted him to see her meltdown, to watch her torn between us. Because that was the truth of what she created. Let them share the awkwardness. Let them see my absence as a threat or a punishment. I felt the smallest flicker of satisfaction at that. Eventually, the front door opened and closed. Silence. Then a soft knock on my door. "Jay?" She sounded broken. "He's gone." I stared at the doorknob. Good. More silence. Then her footsteps receded. My body shook from adrenaline. I realized I was crying, not with loud sobs, but tears dripping down my cheeks. I pressed my palms against my eyes, wanting to stop. Nothing helped. Hours passed in darkness. Days blurred. She tried talking to me several times, begging me to at least see a counselor with her. I refused. The time for that had passed. With each attempt, my silence grew heavier. At night, I listened to the recordings, her voice telling him the same sweet lines she once told me. I listened backward, forward, sometimes muting it just to watch the waveforms. Obsessed, maybe. But it gave me clarity. I realized that I wasn't seeking closure. I was seeking a sense of balance. In her words from that old day, this wasn't about revenge. This was about bringing everything down to one pure point. I decided I'd leave, but not quietly. Kate had always hated mirrors. Seeing her own reflection unsettled her. Claimed it made her aware of every flaw. She even avoided shopping mall mirrors. I wanted her to see herself every day, to remember what she'd done, to confront the woman who lied to my face, the woman who made me question everything I once believed. So I began collecting mirrors, small, medium, large. I stored them in the garage. She never peeked in there, not if she could help it. It took me a week to gather enough. The final night I waited until she was asleep, then carried them in one by one, placing them around the living room, the hallway, the kitchen. Some tall, leaning against walls, some propped on tables, some hung from the nails that used to hold our family photos. A reflection in every corner. My reflection, her reflection, anyone's reflection. The house would become a hall of mirrors. She'd never escape seeing herself, or glimpses of me, or the specter of us. When the first glimmer of dawn arrived, I stood amidst my handiwork. 100 reflections of me stared back, tired, shadow-eyed, but resolved. I felt a grim sense of calm. I left a single note on the kitchen counter. I'm done. I won't forget. Neither will you. Jay. Then I grabbed my suitcase from the guest room. That was it. No more words. I had no desire to watch her meltdown when she found the mirrors. This was my final statement, my closure. I walked out. Outside, the early sun glanced off the windows. My breath fogged the cold morning air. I tossed my bag into the trunk of my car. Before I drove off, I glanced once more at the house. A faint silhouette moved behind the curtains. Maybe she was stirring. Maybe she was seeing the reflections. Maybe she'd call out. For a moment, old love clashed with new hate. But time doesn't heal, it erases. And I was done letting her shape my life. I pulled away from the curb, heart thumping. Everything behind me started to shrink. The day was just beginning. My phone buzzed in the console. I didn't look at it. I knew who it would be. I kept driving. Miles blurred into hours. I stopped at a random diner off the highway. Had some black coffee that tasted burnt, a plate of eggs I didn't touch. The vinyl booth squeaked when I shifted my weight. A neon sign flickered in the window. I stared at it, my mind 1,000 miles away. Memories threatened to spill out, but I caged them. No tears, no breakdown. I was beyond that now. Or maybe I was empty. Hard to tell. Across the diner, an older couple held hands, sharing a silent moment. I stared at them longer than I should have. I wondered how many mistakes they'd had to overcome. Maybe none. Maybe they were lucky. Or maybe they were just good liars. I sipped my coffee and left a tip I couldn't afford on the table. Outside, the sky was a washed-out gray. I got back in my car and drove onward. Didn't really know where I'd end up. A motel. Maybe. My mother's place in Ohio. Eventually. Didn't matter. I only felt the need to keep going. Night fell. I found a cheap motel with a flickering vacancy sign. I paid cash for a room, no questions asked. The walls were thin. I could hear the occupant next door snoring. Lying on the stiff mattress, I let my mind wander. To me, to her, to him, to the twisted shape of betrayal. An old voice in my head repeated, "I love you," over and over. Each time, a wave of anger pulsed through me, but I was calmer now. The worst was done. At some point, I drifted into a shallow sleep filled with half-forgotten dreams. I saw Kate's face, but she was made of glass, fracturing at every word. I saw Dan's silhouette, looming. I saw my own reflection, screaming silently. I woke up with a start, cold sweat chilling my spine. The clock read 3 a.m. The darkness felt suffocating. I clicked on the bedside lamp. A harsh yellow glow lit up the stained wallpaper. My phone blinked with messages. I ignored them. Instead, I took out my laptop and typed a single line in an email to my lawyer. I want to finalize the divorce. My hand hovered over the send button. My pulse hammered. Then I clicked. That was that. A quiet morning greeted me. No fanfare, no revelation. Just a sunrise poking through cheap curtains. My chest felt tight, but I forced myself to breathe. Each breath was a small victory, a step away from the wreckage. I showered, dressed, and turned on my phone out of habit. A flood of missed calls, texts from her, from my sister, from some unknown number I guessed was Dan. I scrolled through them with numb disinterest. Kate's messages. Jay, please, come back. We can talk. Jay, I'm begging you. I can't do this alone. I'm so sorry. Don't leave me like this. I powered the phone off. The part of me that might have cared was gone. She made her bed. Now she'd lie in it, with or without him. My final choice, I looked in the mirror in that dingy motel bathroom. My eyes were bloodshot, my hair a mess. But for the first time in weeks, maybe months, I felt an odd sense of relief. Not happiness, just an end to a nightmare. I brushed my teeth, left the room, loaded my car, and drove out of the lot without looking back. I didn't feel excitement. I didn't feel sadness. I felt empty, cold, determined. I was on a road leading away from the life we built, the life I thought was real. Let her keep the house. Let her keep the illusions. Let her see her reflection in every corner until it drives her mad. She deserves it. Time might not heal me, but it will erase what we had. That's enough. I kept driving, into the distance, into the future that no longer contained us. The sunrise glowed behind me like a funeral pyre, lighting up the sky in a final farewell. And that's how it ended. Her, back in that house, facing 100 mirrors, me, on the open road, with nothing left to lose and no one left to lie to. And for the first time in a long time, I felt calm.